Today, a mother buries her son without the one thing she's asked for most, an answer. And now there's a federal agency involved too. This is Ocean Springs, Mississippi. 2 weeks since Nolan Wells's body was recovered from the waters off Horn Island. He was 18. A standout at Ocean Springs High School, and more recently, a football player at Southwest Mississippi Community College. That's the reality his family is walking into this morning. A funeral, still no autopsy results, and the FBI now confirmed to be part of this story. I want to be precise about that last part right away because it's easy to hear FBI and assume more than what's actually been said. FBI Jackson's role, as confirmed, centers on interstate threats made against people connected to this case, not a takeover of the question of how Nolan died. Separately, the sheriff's office says the FBI is assisting with digital forensic work. Two different things. Worth keeping them separate from the start because a lot of the noise around this case comes from blurring them together. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to walk through what's actually confirmed, what's being claimed but hasn't been independently verified, and what's still just an open question. Nothing more than that. Let's start with the funeral itself. It's public here in Ocean Springs. There's a separate gathering too, a celebration of life his mother has planned, invitation only, and she's asked for something specific. A day with no protest, just space to focus on her son. A few names have attached themselves to this story publicly. Tyler Perry is paying for the funeral. Reverend Al Sharpton is delivering the eulogy. And the family has civil rights attorney Ben Crump representing them, who said the results of this investigation, whatever they turn out to be, are headed to a grand jury once it's complete. Then there's the federal layer, which is genuinely new and genuinely confirmed. FBI Jackson has said it's working to address interstate threats received by people connected to this case. The Bureau hasn't named who received those threats, though some people tied to the friends who were on the boat have said publicly they've gotten them. Separately, the sheriff's office says the FBI is helping examine digital evidence already collected. And the sheriff has stressed something important here. His department is still leading the actual death investigation. The two efforts are running in parallel, not one replacing the other. As for what investigators believe happened, they've said they think Nolan drowned during a July 4th boat trip with friends to Horn Island. His body was found 2 days later, off the island's northwestern tip. The sheriff's office says it's interviewed more than 60 witnesses at this point, including the 3 friends who were on the boat with him. And here's what's still missing. Autopsy results are pending, not 1 but 2. The state medical examiners and a second independent one the family commissioned on their own. As of now, neither has been released. His parents are burying their son without either of them. Worth sitting with that for a moment. A federal agency confirmed to be involved. A drowning theory still standing as the official account. And a family still waiting, on 2 autopsies, not 1. I want to be careful here because there's a difference between what a family feels and what a family has actually said, and it's worth keeping those separate. Nolan's mother has said she wants her story kept alive. Keep telling my story, in her words. And when she's been asked directly whether race played a role in her son's death, she hasn't reached for an easy answer in either direction. She said plainly that she doesn't know. Not that it was racism. Not that it wasn't. We do not know. We want justice. That's a harder position to hold than either of the easy ones, and it's the one she's actually taken. That's grown into something more concrete than just a feeling though. Through her attorney, Ben Crump, the family has said they're not accepting that this was a simple accidental drowning. Crump has pointed specifically to the fact that Nolan could swim. And Crump has said the results of this investigation, whatever they turn out to be, are meant to go before a grand jury once it's complete. That's not rhetoric. That's a family's legal team stating on the record where they expect this to end up. Nolan's mother has added her own detail to that same picture. She said she does respect law enforcement. She was careful to say that. But she's also said the sheriff's office's language around an accidental drowning made both her and Nolan's father uncomfortable. Both of those things sitting right next to each other from the same person in the same breath. That's not an accusation. That's a family asking for time, and now an independent autopsy and a legal team to back that request up. So what actually happens from here? In general terms, and I mean general, not specific to this case, autopsy results usually go to the family first, and sometimes to the press, on a timeline that has nothing to do with when a burial happens. Burial doesn't wait on that. It rarely does. And if something later prompts a second look at a case like this, it's usually one of a few things. New evidence surfaces, the family requests it, or there's a real dispute over what the cause of death actually was. None of that is a prediction about this case. It's just how these things tend to work elsewhere when they happen at all. Now, here's where I want to be precise because this is the part that's easiest to get wrong. The FBI is genuinely involved in this case. That part's confirmed. But involved in what, exactly? Not the question of how Nolan died. FBI Jackson has said its role is addressing interstate threats made against people connected to this case. People around the story who've said publicly that they've received threats. Separately, and this is a different threat entirely, the sheriff's office says the FBI is helping examine digital evidence already collected, which the sheriff has said isn't unusual, since Horn Island itself is federal land. And the FBI's own statement is clear that the sheriff's office is the one leading the death investigation, not the bureau. Two threads running alongside the local case, not ahead of it. There's one more concrete thing worth naming here. The family's legal team and the sheriff's office are expected to jointly go through Nolan's phone, which was left behind on the boat. So when people ask whether a body like this could ever be exhumed, and people do ask that, here's the honest answer. That's a real thing that happens in some cases, elsewhere rarely. But there's nothing in the reporting here that puts it on the table. What is actually on the table is an independent autopsy the family already commissioned, a phone about to be examined, and a district attorney who said this will eventually go before a grand jury. None of that means an answer is coming soon. It just means there are real moving pieces here, and none of them stop just because today is the day he's buried. The burial is taking place today and we're going to be here for whatever comes after it, the autopsy results, both of them, whenever they land. What turns up when that phone finally gets examined. Whatever comes out of the FBI side of this, if anything ever does. We're going to keep following this case. We'll bring you those facts as we actually get them and not a moment before. So if you don't want to miss whatever comes next, that's exactly what subscribing is for.
Loss, this grief, this pain, it's different. It's insurmountable. And then it's like you get these flood of emotions all at different times, and grief is so multi-layered. You know, one second I might be okay and I can talk about things and I can listen to his stories, and then the next minute I am falling apart. And I know if Nolan was here, he'd be like, Mom, you know, just keep talking to the people, keep telling my story, keep telling your story. So that is going to be my plan.
So if you don't want to miss whatever comes next, that's exactly what subscribing is for.